Hello, this is going to be a quick little video that will show you how you can self-install a TFM monitoring system. We're going to be doing this in our TFM shop, just using our demo gun. I'm going to be putting a monitor up there on the wall, keypad and barcode reset button here, along with some miscellaneous cables that will lead to the various sensors and the keypad and barcode and reset button, power and Ethernet. While this is just a demo install, you can see in these following pictures that you can install these anywhere that suits you best. Usually we like to install a little higher than the spray area so things will stay relatively clean, and where the operator can look up and see the numbers for the glass and resin and the material he's spraying as he's spraying it. But again, looking at these various pictures, you can install the sensors and the monitor itself anywhere you want. A monitoring system includes the display unit, the alarm, power supply, barcode, keypad, along with the cabling for it with the reset button, the resin sensor or gel coat sensor, can be used on both, the glass sensor, which we run a strand of the glass material which spins the wheel, along with all the various cables, your resin, your glass, keypad, power, Ethernet. These cables get connected to the back of the monitor and their various ports. So let's get started. And here we have an older style chop gun system, the booms, the older pump, and we are going to mount the monitor on the wall approximately 15 feet away at about this spot right here. Here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mount this monitor bracket. And this is the bracket that will hold the monitor display unit itself. And we have a solid hole on the top with a notched hole on the bottom. And that makes it for ease of installation and in case you need to take things down or put things up. Okay, so now we got the bracket up. Time to put the monitor in the bracket. Okay, so the monitor is up, and in the beginning you want to leave things kind of loose. Makes it easier to mount the cables in their ports, and then once everything's done, you can position this what's easier for your operator to see it, and then tighten things up with the top and bottom bolts. So the next step we like to do is to mount the keypad, the reset button with its cable, and the optional barcode scanner in an area where the operator will find it easy to use. Usually this is in an area where he keeps his paperwork or his workbench. In this case, we're going to mount it right about there. And as you can see, we got the barcode bracket, keypad bracket, reset button with the cable run into a spot where the cable coming down from the monitor will meet up to it and you will connect it. We're just using simple zip ties. You can secure the items however you wish, but for the most part we use zip ties, and usually we're following conduit and or other cables. Again, however you want to do it. So once the brackets are up, we just hook the barcode scanner cable into the barcode, and we'll hang that up. And then we do the same thing for the keypad cable. Again, the keypad cable just plugs in on the bottom, and you hang the keypad up And there you go. That part's all set to go. And now we are going to start installing the sensors for the glass and the resin on the pump. You can do these in any order for the resin or the glass, but for this sample we'll install the glass first. What it is, the operation is pretty simple. Glass runs into the funnel, the one strand, goes over the wheel and out the eyelet of the brake arm. When the pump is running, the wheel will spin and the tension will lift the brake arm off the wheel. When the operator lets go of the trigger, everything stops and the tension releases. The brake arm comes down to make contact with the wheel and stops the wheel, and it helps prevent any bunching up of the glass strand. It all depends on what type of gun you're using. Most likely you're probably using a modern system, but for our demo gun, we're going to have to use this size of U-bolt. Connects into the bracket over the boom arm, and we secure it down. Okay, so we have the glass sensor mounted. Typically anywhere from like maybe 12 to 14 inches from the front eyelet is optimal. And it's a simple bracket where the glass sensor is in the glass path. And what you want to do is feed your one glass strand, no matter if you're using 1, 2, 3, or multiple glass strands. All we need to do is run one glass strand through the sensor. Again, you can see this is an older type of pump, so the glass sensor is right there, but you can see how we have one strand of glass goes in, goes over the wheel, through the eyelet, and then through the gun's eyelets down to the chop motor. And all we have to do is make sure that when the gun is running, that the brake arm comes up and the wheel spins. And the glass is being chopped, you'll see some tension, and again, you'll see how it lifts the brake arm. Now, you can think outside the box and mount these however you wish. You may want to install it above your pallet of glass rolls or mount it like this. The key thing is, for that brake arm, when it's in operation, we don't want it to be flopping like this. You want a kind of if anything, a nice where it's still, or just a nice gentle flowing motion to it. And if you have to, you can always adjust the angle of the sensor to accommodate that brake arm. And then once you find that nice sweet spot, just tighten the bolts and that sensor is installed. All right, so now we're going to install the resin sensor. And on our demo gun there, it's a muffler system. So it's going to require a T-fitting. And basically it's just going to mount just like that, and the muffler will be on that side. On newer equipment, like your Patriot pumps or your newer current MVP product, it's a simple thing where we put this little coupling right there on the nipple, and we put that in the nub. And the little nub I'm speaking of, you can see in the following couple of pictures. It's a little nub that you take out with an Allen wrench from that top screw on top of the exhaust housing, and take that out, you screw that in, and you're good to go. But again, for this case in our demo gun, we're going to be putting it on a T fitting. And you can see here with the muffler, we're going to be installing the T-fitting in between the muffler and the pump. Our resin sensors, or exhaust sensors, are run off an air exhaust. What happens, there's a little pellet with a magnet, and every time your pump exhausts, that air will make that pellet inside jump up, which the magnet trips the sensor, which then sends the signal to the monitor, and it will count up according to whatever calibration number was entered. Okay, so now what we got to do is to run all the cables. We'll have a cable going from the monitor down to the exhaust sensor, and a cable that will run down the booms around the pivot point to the glass sensor. And we're also going to have a cable that runs down to meet the keypad and barcode area. And we're going to have a power cable that will come down and be plugged into a power source, and an Ethernet cable for the data collecting and reporting feature that we will run down and connect to a router box, a switch box, or a network closet that you may have. As long as there's internet, that data can be sent. Okay, just as a side note, our cables use connectors that can only connect to each other one way. So if you're doing a cable to cable, it may have to twist it. You'll find the spot, and then where you can close it up. The same thing when you're connecting to the back of a monitor. You may have to twist it just a little bit. You'll find it, and then you can tighten it up. So when running cables, you can run them in any order you want: glass, resin, power, Ethernet, or reverse, or however. But we're going to start with the glass. So we're taking one end of the glass cable that we're using, connecting it to the glass port, and then we'll run the rest of the cable to the sensor. Okay, so we got the glass cable ran. And again, this is just in our shop, but you can run it along conduit, piping, beams, whatever's convenient for you. And we just use basic zip ties, but we ran this to our glass sensor. Now, on a glass cable for the glass sensor, it is important that at pivot points that you leave a little bit of slack to accommodate the movement of the booms. And you can see here at this pivot point, I left a little bit of slack, and you just follow the hoses where your boom arms, whatever works for you, and then you connect it to the sensor. And that's the glass sensor. Okay, now we're going to connect the resin cable. Again, just hook it to the back of the monitor. And as a note, you can run it from the pump to the monitor, or as I'm doing here, from the monitor to the sensors. Okay, and as you can see, I ran the resin line along the same path as the glass line, since they're both going to pretty much the same destination. However, the resin, I went down the pole and I connected it to the sensor. And again, you may encounter that you have some extra wire, and you can always bunch it up a little bit, zip tie it neatly out of the way. But there's your resin, and your glass sensors are now connected to the monitor. And now we're going to hook up the power. And as you can see in these clips, that the back of the monitor is labeled for the type of cable that will connect to it. Okay, and we got the power cable ran. And in here we kind of go down toward the outlet, because the other part of this cable, and that will be plugging into the power brick, which then we will plug into the outlet. Now it's time to plug in the Ethernet, and we will run that down to the router. So we have the blue Ethernet cable ran, kind of went the same path as the power, but we go down, and the Ethernet cable will plug into a router, a splitter box like this one, or a network closet. whatever you have available. Now time for the big cable, which is the keypad reset optional barcode extension cable. Go ahead and plug that back into the back of the monitor, and we're going to run this cable down to where we had installed the barcode keypad reset button earlier. Okay, so we ran this cable down, over, and down, and we connected it to the existing three-way cable that has the reset button, cable to the keypad, and cable to the barcode scanner. Okay, so we have all the cables ran and connected. Now we're going to put on the alarm. Okay, we have the alarm cable connected, and a nice typical place to mount the alarm with the bracket that it comes with is right there on the top bolt of the monitor. And just screw the extra nut just a little bit for now, and we're ready to tighten up. All the cables and the alarm is good. Now the time to turn the monitor and position it where the operator can see it. And now you can tighten up everything with a 1/2-inch wrench. The monitor's tightened down, the alarm is mounted, all the cables are ran. Now it's time to plug it in and have the display light up. So now we're going to go ahead and plug the extension into the power supply, where we put the appropriate connectors on. And then we're going to go ahead and plug in the monitor and see it light up. Everything is lit up. Got nice solid numbers on there. And installation is complete for the hardware. Now it's time where you would, at this point, calibrate the sensors and get those numbers entered into the system, so that way when you start spraying using the monitor, the numbers on the display will be correct, and what you see on that display is what's coming out the tip of your gun. Calibration video will be coming up, and along with a software video on the data collection and reporting. Hope this helps, and please feel free to give us a call or email us anytime if you have any questions or concerns or just need additional info.